Welcome to an out of the box playthrough video. Today I am looking at South Shore Vibes. So this is an entry in the 2025 Solitaire board game competition. So everything you see here is work in progress. Things can change. This context goes all the way through to October, so anything could happen. But I have a game in the competition and I'm slowly working my way through some of the other games, and this one caught my attention and it's a lot of fun. This game is set in Hawaii and it is about surfing. You get to surf waves, you get to do some other kind of activities, and the aim of the game is to get victory points, get rapport with your uncle who is with you in the waves, and it's a beat your own score. And yeah, you will need to print one-sided A4. If I was going to do this again, I would probably print a A3 because there's quite a bit going on and I quite like it. I think I'd like it spaced out a bit more. But otherwise, you need some dice and you need some cubes for tokens. And so I'm gonna set it up, and I'll probably play a couple of turns, a couple of rounds. The game is set in 3 rounds. Each round has 2 components. You have one component where you're doing some mini games, and so you've got some paddle boarding, you've got some fishing, you've got some shopping, you've got like a skate park here, skate surfing. And you use that to gain more resources, which you can then spend as you do your surfing, which is the second part of the turn. And you go through 3 rounds of those 2 things. So your player, you have 2 dice, and so I'm going to start setting it up. So you start with, so this is stamina. You've got no stamina to start with, I think, and you have to set aside 2 dice. Because they can be unlocked. So when you get to 6 stamina and then 12, you get to unlock a dice. The game mechanism itself is very much dice rolling, and there's some kind of like Yahtzee components of it, but you'll see that when we get there. We've got victory points at the top, rapport with our uncle. So we put cubes on here that indicate how much we've got, and we start with 8 of those. So we've got 8 in the ones column, and we can spend those later on. We have a D4 for your uncle and a D6 for your friend, and they start on the surfing, and we'll see them later on when we actually get onto the waves. Right, what else have we got? We've got shop. And as we go through the game, we can unlock and upgrade abilities, and we can buy them. So we have money, so we start with no money. But once we've collected some money, we can unlock the surfboard, which changes how our dice goes. We've got wax that allows us to change direction when we're on our board. And then we've got an extra board that gives us extra chakra. Shakas, which are these kind of hang loose currency that we can spend on the board. Fish, we don't have to do anything with. And I've got one more. Where does that one go? Oh, that's a very good point. Oh, here. So, and we start with, I think, 7. Let's check that out. Yeah, 7 of those. Yeah. So we start with 7 of those, and we can spend these shakas on different activities. So we've got dice. So we start off with 8 in our pool, and we have 3 optional ones which we will use as we go through. So part of the decision making in this game is whether we want to do any of the mini games before we go surfing. And I think from my experiences, it's good to do some mini games before you start, because that allows you to get more resources. And as you go further into your surfing, it gets significantly harder because you place dice based on the numbers as you surf, but you're also trying to hit these patterns of dice. So there's quite a few layers that give you lots of things to practice, which is great in the game. Anyway, we're ready to go. Let's start playing. So yeah, our mini games, we've either got paddling, we've got our surf skate, and we've got fishing. To do any of those activities, it costs you a dice to start. And so this is then one of the decisions that you have to make later on in the game. Do I want to spend dice to try and get more things? Or do I want to keep my dice for surfing? Because dice is very useful when you go surfing in part 2 of the round. But I'm going to show you everything-ish. So we're going to start with some paddle boarding. We'll do some paddle boarding, so that's going to cost us a dice. So we stick a dice there. Then it basically comes Yahtzee. You roll 5 dice, and you either need a straight or the most of a single number. And you get to go 2 rolls. So first roll here, so I could go, I could be really daring. I've got the start of a straight. Maybe I'll do one more roll and see if I can get a 3. Oh, and I get a 6. So now I've got nothing. So I think I'm going to take those 3 and roll my other 2 for my last roll. So that didn't turn out very well. So I could either take 2s or I take a straight, so I take a 3. So I get 3 stamina for that. So that wasn't so useful. Okay, so we keep those, so they go back into our pool. It cost us 1 to do this. So then we might go to the skate park, and that's going to cost us another dice. So we stick that on there, that gets locked away. And, I should say that your shakars, at any time, you can spend 3 to change the dice to any number, or 1 to do a reroll. But I'm going to kind of keep those because I've only got 7, and then they're, again, very useful for the surfing. Okay, so in the skate park, you're again rolling dice, and you roll 5 dice. So you do 5 dice for all of the mini games. And I think I just lost one out the back of the board. I did. I lost the dice out the back, so I'm going to grab one from here. I just have to remember that I have another dice there. Went off the back of the table, I can't find it. Anyway, so there's my 5. And then what we're looking to do is we've got patterns. And these patterns are determined by the round. So in round 1, I'll get points if I get a straight or if I get that symbol-y thing in here. Round 2, you're looking for different patterns. Round 3. So across your 3 rounds, you've got different things, kind of moves you want to break out on the surf skate. So with my numbers, then you just have to match them in. So if I wanted to do the straight one along there, I get 5 plus 1 coin. But if I get this one, I get 7 plus 2. Of course, if I don't get any, that would be a disaster. So I could put an even one on there. I could put a 4 or 5. And then I need an even one in here. Ooh. And then that's got to be less than that. So that would work. But then I need a 1 or a 2 there, because that would allow me to do this pattern. So I've got 2 more rolls though. So I could roll that again and get a 2. There we go. Perfect. And so I've done that pattern. So I get 7 shakars. So that puts me on to 14. So I'm maxed out there. So that's awesome. And I get 2 coin. Now I really want 7, because if I get 7, that's very useful. So that's locked. And so we're slowly decreasing our dice numbers. And I'm going to go fishing. So let's go fishing. That's that one. And the fish, you've got 3 fish at the bottom that you can get. You just have to get the dice numbers to catch those fish. Round 1, these 2 are available. Rounds 2 and 3, these ones are available. And you get money by selling those fish based on the number of dice you've placed. So if you catch a bigger fish, you get more money, which kind of makes sense. And again, we roll 5 dice. And the box. Ooh, okay. That would have been really good somewhere else, but not so good here. I've got 4 6s and a 1. Okay. So I guess I could hold on to the 1, seems kind of handy. Maybe I'll go for a 3 fish. 6s aren't great, so I'll keep a 6 and a 1, and I'll roll these and see if I can get a 5. So then I've got a 6, a 4 and a 2. Oh, that's not great. Roll it again. Roll it again. Okay, so I've got a 5 and a 1, so I'm going to go for this one. I get the pink fish here, one of the general ones. That's worth 3, so I get 3 for that, so I'm on 5 money. If you go fishing, so get those back again. So we go fishing, we can then go shopping. And I've got 5, so I could get my wax, but I'm kind of not bothered about that at the moment. Might be useful later. I kind of want to get my surfboard, because what the surfboard does is it reduces the paddle out cost. Normally when you paddle out, it costs you get 1 stamina, and it costs you 2 dice. But if I do that, I'll only have 1 dice. Maybe I should do that. No, well, I need that for next time. Anyhow, so that's the mini games done. Because I've done all those mini games, those dice are locked for this round. Whether it's going to come back to bite me or not, we'll see. So now we head into the surf. So the first thing we've got to do is we have to exhaust 2 dice, and we get 1 stamina as we power on out. We can spend 4 to refresh. 1 dice? Do I get 1 dice? I think I only get. So it's 4 for 1. I'm just going to look that up very quickly because it's kind of important. Yeah, 1 dice. It cost me 4. I think I'm going to do that because I've got quite a lot. So I'll go down to 10 and I'll have 1 of those back. You'll see why that's a good idea. In fact, I'm going to spend another 4 and go down to 6 and have that one back as well. More dice, the better when you're catching a wave. So when you're catching a wave, you start at the top. So you've got to get to the points at the bottom. Round 1, round 2, round 3. So you've got further to go. And for each round, you roll your uncle. And we'll see what number he gives us. He gives us a 1. So he's going to lock up space number 1. You roll your friend. And that's 1. So you roll that again because it's been taken. And I get a 3. 1, 2, 3. So he's locked up that space. Now we have to pick a line. We have to roll our dice. So we roll all our dice. So that's why I unlock them. And then that's all I've got. You don't roll them again. You're going to be using this to surf all the way back to the shore. Well, all the way on this wave anyway. You're going to catch this wave. And so I've got to roll those ones as well. I forgot about that. These ones. So we've got a lot of dice now. And you have to put a value in there. But of course, we're also trying to hit one of these patterns. So I'm going to try for that diagonal because that's worth a good score. Let's go big. So I need an 8. You can use these ones, the purple ones, the alternates, but they have to be underneath another one. So you can mix them up. So if I wanted an 8, I can't actually do it with those ones. Oh yeah, I could. So I could pick a 5 and a 3 and I fulfill that row. So that's our first bit of surfing. Then we re-roll and hopefully they're not going to get in the way. And I get a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is fine. And then a 4, which we can't do. And a 3, which is okay. So now I need to get a 3 if I want to keep this pattern going. If I'm going to stay on that wave, I need a 5. I'm going to use up I could either use my 5 or a 3 and a 2. Guess I can look down and see what I need. I basically need to reserve a 2, but I can't use the 2 by itself, one of the alternates, so I might as well spend it here. And yeah, I'll do that. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to use my 5. And that gets me that row. So we're getting closer to the beach. And then these guys do their thing. 3. So as long as I don't get a 2, I'm good. I get a 5, okay. But, this is a high scoring one, so it's going to be hard. So now I have to do 4. So I can easily do a 4 with a 1 and a 3. And then onto the last one. I get a 1, which is perfect. And as long as I don't get a 2. Oh, I got a 2. Blocks me, cuts in front of me. And I guess that's where I should have waxed my board. I think I could have moved them one to the left or right and got him out of the way. But at the last minute, he's cut me off, which is annoying. But you know, that's surfing. I can't do any other pattern because I've kind of fixated on that one. So I can still finish off though. So I can finish off with a 3, and I've ended up at the end of my wave. Great. I get 8 points for that because I finished. So I get 8, so I'm then on to 16. So that's, you track that up there. I could paddle out, but I wouldn't have access to these dice, and it gets harder because you have fewer dice. If you fall off, as in if you get to the point where you can't actually place any dice to actually catch a wave, you fall off and then you lose the appropriate points. So the further down you wipe out, but you also gain more of these things, the shakas that allow you to go through. And so then at the end you clean up, so you get your dice back. These dice go back over here, and we're pretty much, oh, they can stay in there, and we'd then get ready to go round 2. So that'd be round 1. I keep a token for round 1. So then we do round 2, and then we could then make a decision of, do we want to do all the mini games? If I could get some more stamina, that would unlock another dice, which means I get more dice. If you can get more shakas in here, they're really useful because you can use 3 to change to any roll, which I didn't need at this point because I went a bit overboard with my dice, and if I had a payoff, it would have been great. I would have got 16. I would have got 18. As it was, I only got 8. All right, that's the end of the first round. You kind of see how it goes. As we get further in, how you spend the dice on the different activities locks them down. And as you get further in, you've got to do one more step each time. And you have to then see whether you've got dice that fit in. I really like it. It's the surfing gives you this kind of real feel of, will it happen, will it won't happen. Yeah, but this is, I'll put a link to this below. You can go download it and try it yourself, provide some feedback to the designer. The competition is ongoing. Don't forget to subscribe and like. That was South Shore Vibes.